Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the podcast where three are back finally after we graduated from our art history lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I haven't taken the test or studied for it yet. How'd they go last week? I wasn't there
It
for
went fine. It went long.
Yeah.
Well, you're an old guy.
That's right. That's right. There's more of my life to try to remember.
Mine was a little bit shorter because I'm younger than both of you.
right.
So I guess we're going to have to do Jay history. What we should do is one day when Jay's not here, you and I do a Jay history.
Well, what
lesson.
I thought we could do is not when we're not here, let Jay just do it himself.
That's right.
So, Jay, you can actually
I've been thinking about how that might work.
get up and walk from one microphone to the other.
Well, he's been trying to get rid of both of us.
I think that's
the ultimate takeover.
The ultimate takeover. It's kind of coming
like one
soon.
of those Sirius XM things.
Yeah.
Jay takes over.
Yeah. Jay's version.
Jay
Guys-
of a certain age.
Guys of a certain age, Jay's version.
Jay's version.
As opposed to Taylor's version. So, there you go. All right, let's jump into some
ring
geeks.
to it.
You want to go first? Even though I think I'm pointing at Jay, you realize we're so far ahead now that this geek
Art Shirley.
would be. Yeah, Robbie Koblenz in studio with.
Art Shirley.
And Jay Reed.
I did finally. I listened to some older things and heard you do your. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Art Shirley. No, that's a little
Peter Brady.
Yeah. Going through changes. So, but Jay, you want to do your geek? Even though
Might
your
as well.
geek will be 4 weeks.
It will not
old.
be. It'll be Geek of the Month. Well,
Geek of the quarter.
Month by the time we get this out there. But yeah, I saw this morning that OJ has passed the.
Now,
The
let's
OJ.
make sure. I mean, because with you, that could mean your morning beverage has left the system.
mixed in Metamucil and Miralax for extra boosts.
This is terrible.
Sponsored by. Yeah. Orenthal James Simpson. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
The famous running back, maybe one of the greatest running backs of NFL history, who
All
then
right, I'm back.
made a bigger name for himself by being accused and acquitted of murdering his wife and whoever Ron Goldman was. I forget what his role
Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman.
And then I think later he lost his civil suit. Is that right? In the
Yes.
same thing. And then, of all things, he went to prison for robbery. Right? Stole something
or
Fraud is
something.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with the murder. But anyway, went to prison for a little while.
Didn't it involve sports memorabilia?
Yeah, I
did.
think it was like stealing back something that
Which is why Jay is making.
he
this
stole it
particular
from me. I just didn't tell y'all that. I had OJ's Heisman in my closet next to Jerry Rice figurines. But anyway, it took him a long time to find it. It's pretty messy. Anyway,
Ooh.
we digress.
That's right. You don't have his gloves? That's what I figured you'd have.
Okay.
This is awful.
I thought it was his glove, but it didn't fit.
Oh.
So you weren't acquitted,
I was not acquitted either.
or if the gloves don't fit, you must acquit.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So another thing that he was famous for, I think, was the Hertz commercials.
I was going to say
that was in between the football and the murder, and
He also did some Naked Gun movies.
that's right. He
Yeah.
did. I forgot about that. Yeah. So there's another.
And he did Monday Night Football for.
Did he?
Was he on it? Monday Night
he
Football?
may have. I can picture him in a awfully.
That
Gaudy
color,
gold jacket.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The ABC.
Yeah, he might have, or at least been a color commentator from time to time.
I can't remember. So, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was on Monday Night Football with Frank Gifford and I think Frank Gifford, Don Meredith, O.J. Simpson. Yeah, he did. He did MF.
So I mean, a lot of good things happened in his life before kind of went sour. And
Frank Gifford, O.J. Simpson, and Joe Namath in the booth. Wow. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But he's I think he was 76 years old.
I had
from
not heard
cancer.
that.
I didn't realize he was even sick. So he's kind of been out of the limelight lately.
Yeah.
But I think I remember him. I mean, I'm sure I was watching football when he was playing, but I think the most vivid memory I have of him is running through airports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the Hertz commercials.
Yeah.
That's kind of the juice was loose.
Did y'all watch? I mean, the Bronco chase. Do you remember watching?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was working at Channel 5 at the time, and we put it on.
Oh, wow.
Well, not on the broadcast, but we had it on our monitors.
Gotcha.
And talk about something surreal, because he was A.C. Cowlings. Was in there with, and you just didn't know that.
Yeah,
that he
thought it was all going to end in a shootout.
Yeah,
he'd be killed there.
And so that was kind of probably maybe a little of the harbinger of reality TV.
Yeah, I think so. I think that definitely.
Maybe the slowest car chase in police history as well.
Yeah, could be. So,
But they go
longest and slowest.
People will watch this stuff for hours. Yeah.
Tell OJ to slow down.
And then the trial too was.
Oh gosh, watched a lot of that too.
The Kardashians have that trial to thank for their fame, right?
Certainly triggered some.
Yeah, because Robert was
notoriety.
lead attorney, so played by David Schwimmer in the
I had
People
trouble wrapping
versus
my head around that, but
versus
I'd forgotten
OJ
that.
series.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
I
OJ.
think, as far as figuring out David Schwimmer, imagining him as Kim Kardashian's dad just didn't connect.
It's kind of hard to imagine Robert Kardashian as Kim Kardashian's dad, though.
That's
And
also
if you
true.
see those,
Yeah.
Also true.
Cato Caitlin. Remember Cato Caitlin?
Cato Caitlin, yes.
Yeah.
Judge Ito.
Yeah.
Was it Jay Leno that had the Judge Ito dancers or whatever that would come out?
Gosh.
Man, I tell you what, he was 76. So
that's younger than I thought he was.
yeah, I guess so. But
I guess
anyway,
he's been in the.
that's our geek from Jay.
R.I.P. OJ.
So, what you got, Mr. Shirley?
Rebel,
Did you decide on one?
Yeah, Rebel Moon, the Zack Snyder Star Wars, for lack of a better term. Part 2 is coming out April 19th on Netflix, The Scar Giver.
Okay.
That was called?
Something like that.
Did you ever see the first one?
I haven't seen the
Neither
first
of
I
you
watched the
y'all
first one,
Or
and
you
it was
didn't watch
enjoyable.
Yeah.
I need to work on
That's
that.
exactly what it was. It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I can't really remember much of anything other than, some scenes, but I don't remember anything much about the plot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was worth watching, and I'll certainly watch this one again. But
There, if you're interested, I think there is some Rebel Moon merchandise on the clearance aisle at our Walmart, at our local Walmart. That was
okay.
I mean, the fact that there was merchandise to begin with is interesting. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know that I realized
It went
was.
directly to clearance.
Yeah.
Like directly to video movies.
Yeah, I don't know that I will run out.
It was
to
weird
pick up-
stuff. It wasn't even like figurines. It was odd things.
Well, what was it?
It
Now
was
we
like a
have to
mug.
know.
It was like a mug or something. It was that kind of
okay.
stuff.
Who would do a mug for a Zack Snyder directed Netflix movie?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mug. I just don't think it was all figurine type things. It was something related.
The weird thing is you could only drink it in slow motion. And it changed to black and white halfway through.
That's right. That's right. With heightened contrast.
That's right.
But so you're going to watch Rebel Moon 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
April 19th, which is a week from Friday as we record.
Yeah, which will be in the past once you hear this, hypothetically.
So
So,
it'll be-
Art would have watched Rebel Moon.
And maybe by then I'll
Conceivably.
have watched the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that movie that you mentioned, the what was the gentlemanly thing?
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yeah.
That was my second title for our podcast, by the way. That was the backup title.
When we start the network thing, we can do one.
That's
Just
right.
have the same country on this.
That's right.
Aren't
That's
this the same, folks?
right. Yeah. No.
Yeah, that comes
What
out
about-
April 19th, I'm sorry, as well,
In the theaters or on streaming?
in theaters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good to me, though.
Yeah, I like it.
So either you guys watching Three Body? Have you continued to watch Three Body?
I haven't watched another episode yet. I'm actually trying to finish Percy, right now, Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
And then Melissa and I we finished season 1 of The Bear last night. So I've been trying to get caught up on some other things.
Things we've been telling you about for
Yeah.
months.
Because I know she's not going to want to watch Three Body Problems. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Have
not
you-
sure Becky will either. No, we're watching Shogun, which we've talked about
I
before.
want to see that.
Palm Royale.
So the font that they use for subtitles in Shogun is the same font Lucas used as subtitles for Greedo in Star Wars.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I read that. That's not my geek, but I thought that was pretty cool. I really
Also,
like
the
that.
guy the main star who's the producer and making the thing happen, the Japanese actor who's playing Toranaga in it, and I can't remember his name. He really wants to be a Jedi.
Oh,
in
yeah.
some kind of Star Wars movie, and he would be great. He's just a good actor.
We started Masters of the Air also, so
Okay.
we've got a lot of things rolling right now.
And by the time this comes out, we should be like right on top of the release of Star Wars Acolyte, which I think is dropping. When is it dropping?
And that's in theaters, or is it a
June
series?
4th. June 4th on Disney Plus.
Okay, on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got Jude Law in it, I believe. Mm-hmm. No, maybe not.
Jude Law's in it. I think he's in it.
Yeah. Carrie-Anne Moss is in it, which will be great. So, but that.
Or is Jude Law?
I don't think Jude Law is in it.
There's something other. There's some other Star Wars property.
There was something something else, or he may have dropped out from it. So,
Gotcha.
but anyway, but that's not my geek. My geek is save the cheerleader,
Protect the World.
save the world,
Save the world. Gosh.
save the world.
Did I miss
Do you know what
that?
I'm talking about, Jay?
I've
Heroes.
heard it. I've heard-
Heroes.
Oh, okay. I saw the headline. Yeah, I saw the
those that
headline, but
missed
didn't see this. Didn't read the story.
Yeah. So
How did I forget that?
yeah, I don't know how you forgot that.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Well,
so
so we're saying, I forget something every week.
That's right. That's our motto. See what art listens to what art forgets each week. So Tim Kring is going to reboot Heroes into a new series called Heroes Eclipsed, which is going to be a reboot. Kind of, you're not going to have many of the original characters, maybe some of the original villains.
Okay.
But I've forgotten that there was Heroes Reborn back in 2015, which I did.
Yeah, no, that's regrettable.
Yeah, that's Art's regrettable segment, which I didn't watch at all. But I would give this a try,
Yeah,
and
me
see
too.
what happens.
Because the first season, maybe the first 2 seasons of Heroes was really, really good.
It's the best X-Men ever.
Yeah. Well, maybe Incredibles is best Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Okay. But but the writer's strike hit them, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what messed it up? And
Yeah.
they just never really came back.
Yeah. I mean, they had very much a Days of Future Past feel to it.
Really.
You know?
Yeah, really. It was really well done.
Yeah. But save the cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah.
That's it. Did you ever watch Heroes, Jay?
I watched most of the first season, and then I lost track. I started it over and never finished it.
It launched
I
several.
liked it. I just never got around to finishing
It
it.
launched several
Yeah.
careers. So, great show. Great show. Very unlikely show for NBC at the time.
Yeah.
I think I watched it on DVD from Netflix DVD.
I think,
Okay.
what was it, 2008 when it popped? Anyway,
Wow.
no, 2006.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost 20 years old.
That's really crazy.
How
Probably
crazy?
20 years before, or when's the reboot supposed to happen?
Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah. It may be 20th anniversary of.
Yeah.
So, but that's where Milo Ventimiglia.
Okay.
Yeah.
From This Is
For you to
Us.
say.
Yeah.
Came out.
Yeah. That was his first.
Gilmore Girls.
And
That's
Zach,
right.
Was that
Sure was.
before or after Gilmore Girls?
I think it was before Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
and then Zachary Quinto, Skylar. You know,
He was also on 24 before he was on Heroes.
was he? But he was amazing on Heroes.
Yeah. Heroes he was kind of one of the people in the background, that would occasionally talk on 24.
Yeah.
And then Heroes was his first big thing, and that led to Spock.
Yeah. Spock. Somehow, some way. So, but anyway, all right. So that's our geeks. Now it's time for
Jay's Regrettable segment. I don't know who's bringing it to you.
I
Should
jumped
be-
in last week before the
should
sponsor.
be Minute Maid. I mean, because of
Very good. Minute Maid orange juice. Minute Maid urine. It only takes a minute for Jay to make urine out of orange juice. Maybe it's best sometimes if I don't say what's on my mind.
You need to work on the inner monologue thing there, buddy.
Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you said that. out
Mrs.
loud.
Reed is not gonna like that one.
I don't think I used any.
You didn't use
any
the P word.
popular vernacular.
Yeah. So you
Or unpopular vernacular.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, it looks like we're going to have bagels, by the way, because a large purchase just hit my American Express. So, Terrace Bagels will be shipping us bagels for next
Just
week.
a reminder, this is Jay's Regrettable segment.
Sponsored apparently by
by
Dolce.
Dolce. Yeah, we should. You know what? Dolce should be our sponsor. We're not going to get any money from it, but it would make us sound almost
Legit.
too quit, too legit.
And that's all the time we have for Jay's Regrettable
segment. What you got, Jay?
Actually, this one has some interesting features. So let me tell you about I guess not the alter ego, but the the actual person is named Richard Stanton. He was an actor, a master of disguise. His wife passes away. His daughter is kidnapped somewhere in that. And then he kind of disappears and reemerges as Madame Fatale.
Madam?
Or Madame Fatal. Madame,
Wait.
yes.
Is there an E at the end of it?
There's not. So Fatal.
So Fatal, Madame Fatal.
Yeah.
Wait. So he gender swaps.
And
He cross-dresses. One of the first cross-dressing superheroes in...
Sorry, Mrs. Reed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sorry.
So he comes
He
back...
picked this without talking to us.
Right. Well, I'm just following the order of the book. Comes back as basically an elderly woman in a red dress who has very
Mrs.
strong, fights like a
Doubtfire.
lion, and as ferocious with a cane. So
Okay.
that's her. But apparently he himself
I'm
was,
ready to vote.
Yeah. Well, no kidding. But he was like a soldier, a deep diver, swimmer. So he's got athletic ability, and that's pretty much his power. He joins a detective agency later. So just good with figuring things out and fighting crime. Some of his...
But what was the motivation for the cross-dressing?
apparently just master of disguise.
Okay.
That's all they ever say.
Okay.
But one of the things that I found interesting, she made it about 21. It was Crack Comics about 1940, so they're about the same age as we've been talking about the other ones. But Madame Fatal makes, I can't even talk. Madame Fatale.
The damn fatal? Is that what you just
Not
said?
what I said, Mrs. Reed.
Use your words, Jay. Use your words.
DC bought the
Rights?
rights later. Never made a comic book that featured this character, but the character made an appearance later on, like in JSA, some Golden Age comics.
Okay.
And what I was reading said that they made kind of fun of her in some places. There's, I guess, Richard Stanton talks about.
Yeah, Aquaman had to be really glad when this character showed up.
So she didn't die completely, but just got some mentions later. But I did see, the artwork that you can see, that you two can see, is just typical senior citizen, white wig, short white hair, red dress,
So
shawl.
it's Madame Fatal.
Uh-huh.
There's not an E on either word.
Yeah, well, but you do see, if you Google it, it does come out with an E on Madame, so Madame might be. But later on when she appears, she's much more fashionably dressed. She's got she still got a red shirt on, but it's a little tighter. She got on black pants, the bun, the gray hair. It looks a little bit more like a younger, more fit senior citizen than in this original picture.
When did this come out?
Let's see. The artist was Art Panasian, Crack Comics #1 in 1940.
Crack Comics.
Crack. Just one crack, not cracked, not past tense.
Was this your first art endeavor?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Under a pseudonym.
You've been outed.
Now, what I was wondering is, there's a movie with one of the Barrymores where he's creates some doll. I can't remember what the thing is. I want to say it's Doll Man, but I don't think that's what it is. But anyway, he dresses as an elderly woman to disguise himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does have Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs.
vibes.
Doubtfire?
Mrs.
Yeah.
Doubtfire with a quarterstaff.
With a quarterstaff.
That's what they compare her cane to. Yeah. So I'm going to say, unless they took it and made a sort of Mrs. Doubtfire with a vengeance, kind of a thing, I'm going with Regrettable on this.
Yeah, Regrettable.
Oh, yeah.
Although the Doubtfire thing is intriguing, but I'd say no. Regrettable.
But definitely the same kind of vibe there.
Yeah.
I was thinking Bosom Buddies at first, but some like it hot. There's a long history of these things succeeding.
Bosom Buddies. Which the theme song, did we talk about this? My Life by Billy Joel.
No, I'd forgotten that was yeah.
But he did not perform it. Billy Joel did not perform that. Somebody else performed the tune.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I've got another little interesting fact I just found out. You may know. Sorry.
Okay.
Point is,
the vote is we already voted.
Yeah, regrettable.
Regrettable.
So
okay. Thanks, Jay.
You remember the Warren Beatty Dick Tracy movie,
Yes.
right? So did you like that, Art?
Yeah, I liked it.
What about you?
Yeah,
JJ?
for what it was, yeah.
So did you know that Warren Beatty actually purchased the rights to Dick Tracy to make that movie?
No, the actual rights.
He owns the rights to Dick Tracy.
Wow.
And
not just the movie rights.
Not just the. I mean, Yeah. The movie
comic
rights.
strip. Well, the comic strip rights is what it sounds like.
Well, no, I think it was just movie rights.
Oh, okay.
And so what has happened in order to keep the movie rights deal?
I have heard this.
He has done
And I watched this.
like a 10-minute
Yes.
in Dick Tracy outfit direct-to-video thing, like every 2 years since the movie came out.
Yeah, there was one that I watched
with Leonard Maltin and I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember, somebody's interviewing, but he's in character as Dick Tracy.
Leonard
That's
Maltin.
That's what it was. Okay,
Yeah.
And I want to say it came out during COVID, possibly.
Dick Tracy Zooms In is the name of the video. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a terrible video, and it is only like 10 or 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So it's just enough to keep the rights.
To keep the rights, but the character's about to fall into public domain in the next year or two.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I just never knew that Warren Beatty had the rights, the TV and movie rights, because Tribune, which still owns the comic rights, was trying to do a TV series without Warren Beatty playing Dick Tracy. So just kind of crazy. Anyway, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about other than the potpourri of geekness that we engage in here at this television.
But perhaps Warren
show.
Beatty will get the rights to Madame Fatal, and that'll be his next venture.
Or next disaster. Who knows?
His next dish star.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going to like take a break and see who shows up again and do another segment.
Okay.
And some of us would be better off dead after that last segment, but what a lead in. We're going to talk John Hughes movies and impact on cinema, right?
Yes. Is that a John Hughes movie?
Wasn't Better Off Dead a John Hughes movie?
It was not on any list that I looked at.
Well, maybe it wasn't. So
good intro.
Yeah.
It felt John Hughes-ish.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those that I'm going to look into.
Maybe it's in the same era.
It is in the same era. It was 1985. Excuse me. It was Savage Steve Holland, who both
actually is also going to be Jay's Regrettable Hero next week.
He directed and wrote it. So sorry, I always thought that was a John Hughes. Yeah.
Going through the list, there were some that were I thought that was a John Hughes movie that didn't make the list, and they weren't. And then there were a lot that he wrote that I didn't realize he was associated with.
Yeah, that was probably the longest list. But
yeah.
So, what's your favorite John Hughes movie?
Mine is Ferris Bueller.
Bueller.
I think probably I quote that as much or more of any of his as far as pop culture kind of things, maybe of any movie. Definitely Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club is probably my second.
I love The Breakfast Club. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's really good too, and it's
Ali Sheedy.
Oh man, not just Ali Sheedy, but everybody in that.
Oh yeah, but I had a huge crush on Ali Sheedy. So
was it the dandruff thing?
That part was a little off-putting, but
yeah. So interesting tidbit about that movie was Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds. That was originally Billy Idol, not Billy Joel, was supposed to do that. And it had been pitched to Billy Idol, and he's like, "No, mate, that doesn't sound like me." And so they went to Simple Minds to try to get him to do it. They weren't interested. Went back to Billy Idol, I remember, got turned down. Simple Minds was like, okay, finally, we'll do it. It became their biggest hit.
So it was not a Simple Minds written song.
No, okay. It was written for the movie. So
yeah, and that's one thing about a John Hughes movie. The soundtracks were usually very good. And a lot of times they featured, if an artist was on that, if they weren't already big, they broke big afterwards.
Yeah.
And in that movie too, he was an actor, and John Hughes played Brian's father in the Broncos.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He usually made an appearance in most of the movies.
Well,
right?
there was only 3 that were listed.
Okay.
But he may have made some others that just weren't on the list.
So I'm just going to go down.
Also, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was in that one. Mm-hmm. Guy running between cabs. Sorry.
16 Candles, National Lampoon's Vacation, Breakfast Club.
But he wrote Vacation. He didn't direct that one.
And
yeah. I see.
Based on a book of his or an article of his, right?
This was kind of cool. He was in advertising, what I was reading, and he went to New York a lot for his Virginia Slims account. And in the course of those trips, met people from National Lampoons and became a contributor, and wrote a story called Vacation 58, which
was
later
for
became the
that,
movie.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he apparently National Lampoon had a history of backing movies that their staff writers wrote.
Yeah. So that's why I thought he'd actually been like at Harvard and part of National Lampoon, but he was not. He came to him later.
I think
He only directed 9 movies.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see that.
He directed 8 movies, and then there's something that was direct to video. So 16 Candles in 84.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club in 85. Weird Science in 85. Boy, that's crazy how, he did both those simultaneously. Ferris Bueller in 86. Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
Which is, on most lists
87.
I saw, was considered his best movie. And I've seen it once, maybe twice.
I've seen it, but I don't even remember much
Those
about
aren't
it.
pillows is the main line I remember from it.
Yeah.
And in that one, he met, I think that was his first with John Candy. And
Yeah.
apparently they became good
Yeah,
friends.
because they did Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did She's Having a Baby before.
Was
Uncle
John
Buck.
Candy in that, though?
No, he did.
Yeah, She's Having a Baby, which I really liked that movie.
Which was Kevin
Bacon and Elizabeth McGovern.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Uncle Buck, then Curly Sue, and I believe John Candy was in Curly Sue as well.
He may have been. I never
Jim
saw Curly Sue.
Belushi.
Or is it Jim
Jim
Belushi?
Belushi's
I wonder if John Candy was dead by that point, and so they used Jim Belushi.
Yeah, maybe so. Then 2018, The Breakfast Club deleted scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk about a
That's
money
my
grab.
favorite.
Yeah.
I love 16 Candles. That's his first directorial effort. He'd written some stuff before then, but that was just, and that kind of in a lot of ways defined the John Hughes look. I always thought Pretty in Pink was his. He wrote it, but he didn't direct that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pretty in Pink was the movie that kind of triggered this John Hughes thought came to mind. I was reading Ready Player 2, and one of the, I don't know, I know y'all haven't read it yet, have you? Or
No.
will ever.
I probably will. I really enjoyed the first novel.
Well, in this one, the guy goes from virtual world to virtual world, and one of them is like a John Hughes world, and it plays a huge role in the quest that they're on in the second book. And part of that is Pretty in Pink, and there was the original ending of Pretty in Pink had Molly Ringwald's character and John Cryer's character getting together, and test audiences didn't like it.
Yeah.
So they went back and put her with Andrew McCarthy, to the guy that she was going for to begin with, and I guess that tested better.
Yeah.
But in the book, spoiler alert, they had to go back and kind of recreate the original ending with the original, like Robert Downey Jr. was being kind of vied for the character of Ducky. So it turned out, John Cryer did it well and turned out to be the better actor for that. But they just bring all that into the book.
Yeah. And he originally wanted Anthony Michael Hall again, who was one of his go-tos.
And apparently they were on the outs. They did a couple of movies, and then Anthony Michael Hall said he didn't want to be typecast, so he turned some things down. Hughes didn't like it, and basically they never spoke.
Yeah, and that's he kind of wrote him off. And I don't think Anthony Michael Hall realized it was that big a deal, because you could certainly understand. He was already typecast pretty much from 16 Candles and from Breakfast Club and Weird Science. Yeah. And so he's thinking, I don't want to be that guy.
Well,
but later I read a quote from Anthony Michael Hall saying, I loved working with him.
I don't think I don't think he realized how John Hughes took it.
Yeah.
Or didn't realize the degree that he would take it.
But then Hughes also became after a certain point, I forget the year, moved back to, I guess, near Chicago, Shermer, Illinois, which there were a lot of things took place, but kind of became a recluse.
Oh, really?
Just kind of dropped out, didn't give many interviews, and
how did he die? Died early.
It was
59.
weird. Yeah, 59 years old. They'd gone back to New York to visit kids or grandkids or something, and he was just walking in Manhattan and fell out from a heart attack.
Oh man, wow.
So one of his most famous movie he wrote would have been Home Alone. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So
I would for the Vacation series is famous again. That's one that people quote. So much.
Oh yeah.
But Home Alone, it was also one that I did not realize that he didn't direct.
Yeah, that was Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, which makes sense when you think about it. It seems more like the movie sensibility seems more like his, and that's what I was going to ask. Is like, so what kind of, when you think of a John Hughes movie, what do you typically think of?
I think of teenage angst.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Brat Pack.
Exactly the phrase I was
Yeah.
going to use. Teenage angst, because you've got, the cool kids, you've got the nerds, you've got all this stuff.
The
And then-
jocks,
And in Breakfast Club, I think probably best encapsulates that in a more serious fashion than had gone before.
Yeah.
Because you see these people and you think these are all stereotypes, and then you see actually these are more three-dimensional people. There's more going on in each of their lives. So like I said, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had Breakfast Club in my top 3. I kind of had 4 in my top 3 because I can't do math, but Breakfast Club was there, and Weird Science too, because that's sort of the ultimate nerd teenage boy dream. The nerd kid gets the girl, and that kind of stuff. But that and Breakfast Club. But I agree with you on the Vacation. I think Christmas Vacation, I put that as in my top 3 because that is one that I can watch. It's not like a ritual for us to watch it every Christmas, but I could, and I enjoy it whenever I see it.
And this is one of those things. I don't know if we've discussed it here, but with other people, Christmas Vacation's never been one of my favorites. I much prefer the original Vacation, and only watched Christmas Vacation for the first time, in probably shortly after it came out this past Christmas, and I thought it was a much better movie than I remembered it being. So there's a lot more heart to it than I had remembered there being. So yeah, so I may have to add that to
a rotation.
Yeah. But he wrote that, and a lot of that's based, and I think most of his writing is based on his life.
Yeah, a good bit of it.
His life. Yeah.
Now he grew up outside of Chicago.
Somewhere in there, Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of in that sort of tri-state area.
That's
for lack
another
of a better
thing, is
word.
that most everything takes place in Chicago around there.
And there was some kind of note about a lot of things. A lot of the teenage movies took place, or at least had a scene in a school library, school lunchroom, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was kind of a loner. I thought this was interesting. Kind of a loner, had 3 sisters. From time to time, he lived in neighborhoods where there was no other boys to play with, that kind of thing. So he was kind of a loner, and liked to watch movies. Really enjoyed watching Rat Pack movies, which I thought was cool because he sort of inaugurated the Brat Pack.
Yeah, but that's not a term that he came up with. That was a term the media came up with.
Probably
right? So that's kind of that's
so,
interesting that would have happened, and go, let's call him the Brat Pack.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that. That's interesting. Did he write? Okay, so he wrote Christmas Vacation and the original Vacation. Did he write any of the other ones? He's also involved in the
European
remake,
was
right?
listed in his writing
European
credits.
is really. Maybe I'll go back and that'll be redeemed too. But I don't
wasn't
remember
very good,
that
was
being
it?
very good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It has some collaborations with Disney too. It's involved in Flubber and the 101 Dalmatians movies as well.
But I think also just there's a lot of heart in the movie. You think about Home Alone, and especially when the Kevin, the old man and all that stuff, those scenes, and like I said, he was pulling from a well, obviously, I think from his own personal experience, and it comes across there. You got a sense that you knew this guy, even though we didn't really.
He also wrote Dutch. I don't know if you remember Dutch.
That's the one with
Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill.
Yeah.
And I remember that movie. I don't remember anything about the movie.
It kind of had the curmudgeonly old man adopt, the kid weasels his way into his life, and they have adventures. So,
have y'all seen? Do y'all remember She's Having a Baby?
I remember, but it's been
Vaguely.
forever since
I think that may have been. When did that come out? Is it late 80s?
88.
88. Yeah. So
I vaguely remember. I think I actually saw it in the theaters.
yeah, we saw it in the theater.
Alec
And,
Baldwin was in that.
He
too.
sure is. That's right.
I forgot about that.
Gosh, dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that movie was. We really liked that movie.
he
a
did
lot.
Beethoven, which if you read the list, it just generated Beethoven the Third, Beethoven's Fifth, Beethoven.
So he wrote those.
yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
It's called Beethoven's Cash Grab.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. What's interesting to me is that he was responsible for some franchises. The Vacation movies, the Home Alone movies, which I think he at least yielded at least 3, right? And I think he was involved with all 3 of them. The Beethoven movies. But usually it seems like a writer-director is in for that first one, possibly the second one, and then but he would stick around and be involved in all of them. It seemed like.
Yeah, he was he
And
had
there's
producer roles as
other
well.
National Lampoon movies as well. Or at least
He did the reboot too, right? He was involved with the reboot that had I can't remember the guy's name. The guy from The Office. That not the Not the main guys from The Office. The guy that came in towards the
Reboot of
Vacation. What did I say?
You didn't say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said the reboot. I was just trying.
Yeah, the reboot.
And there was something on this list called The Secret Life of Nikola Tesla. Did y'all?
I saw that
see
very early on.
I didn't see
think
that.
you.
Was that a movie or?
I don't know what it was. Let me go back to my.
Andrew
Mr.
Michael
Mom was a big one.
Yeah, Mr. Mom was one I forgot. And I loved that movie.
Did you?
I did.
Well, good. All right.
Dennis the Menace. He was involved in that.
Made in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Drill Bit Taylor. I never saw Drill Bits.
That was with.
Oh, that was Eddie Murphy, wasn't it?
I thought it was one of the Wilson brothers. I thought it was Owen Wilson.
Oh, it may have been. Yeah, I think you're right.
He was a co-writer of The Secret Life of Nikola Tesla.
And Anthony Michael Hall, strangely enough, played Tesla.
Stars Peter Bozovac, Orson Welles, and
What?
Oja Kodar. So Orson Welles was in this had to have been the last thing that Orson Welles, because it was 1980.
What's the guy? Peter, it's not Bogdanovich, is it?
No.
Okay. Because he and Orson Welles palled around a lot towards the end.
Orson Welles was in Transformers the movie as the voice of Unicron. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow, did not know that at all. Just learned all kinds of things today. So, but
Y'all heard, there was one on the list called Hotel Hell Vacation. Was that part of the Vacation franchise as well? Have you ever heard of that one?
I don't know.
I've never
not
heard of
of
it.
that one.
Okay.
But it's bound to be.
I mean, it kind of
And
fits
then there were the Cousin Eddie spinoffs.
Gosh,
I don't think he was involved in those.
that seems to be the thing that has outlasted anything else from
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation. I mean, everybody wants to be Cousin Eddie.
No.
do they really though?
Well, they want to quote him,
Dan Mullen.
which
Dan
I
Mullen.
shall not.
Do you want to be Cousin Eddie?
No, I have a brother-in-law Eddie though.
I have an Uncle Buck.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah, which was written by John Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, this has got to be a trick question. We've been talking about it for 20 minutes.
boy, I just gave you a softball to hit. I was hoping you
I
would.
was never that good at sports.
Yeah, at sports
T-ball.
things. Yeah, I could have put it right there on your UURES life bottle
I reckon.
thing.
I
So,
reckon.
so John Hughes to me is very much an epitome of an 80s movie,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were watching.
Not quite a tent pole, because it's not an Indiana Jones, E.T., Steven Spielberg, George Lucas type.
Right.
But it's something that you would go with your buddies, your male, female friend group that, you had that 6-7 people that you hung out
Yeah.
with, and you'd go see them. And then 2 years later, you go to Blockbuster and say, hey, let's get the Breakfast Club or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you would go see the movie based on the strength of his name alone. I think this is a John Hughes movie. I think you'd go see it for that.
yeah.
And just prolific too. I mean, I don't know what the very first date and the very last date of his movies were, but if he wrote or was involved in the writing of 54 movies over the course of 20 years, that's a pretty prolific, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah, I think I'm looking. Drillbit Taylor was probably his last. He was credited as the story for it, because everything from that point on was characters attributed to John Hughes. So, Beethoven, Home Alone, Vacation, Breakfast Club.
So some of those later franchise movies, the Home Alone 3, Eddie's Vacation, were probably even after he was dead.
He wrote Home Alone 3.
He did write that. That's not even Kevin, is it?
I don't think so. Beethoven's third, it was characters. Reach the Rock was written by. Beethoven's fourth was based on characters. And he got a writing credit on The Wonderful World of Disney because of characters. So,
And that Reach the Rock one was listed or talked about as kind of one of his more serious ones that I've never seen. It had something to do with a cop drama or something, but that was a...
But he dipped into the Disney well a little bit with Flubber and 101 Dalmatians. But he also wrote the Dennis the Menace movie in '93. So very interesting. Man, what a weird... No, not weird.
Just a very eclectic mix of movies.
Eclectic
Yeah.
is the great way to put it. So, yeah.
But at the same time, how many of those, whether or not we watched the second or third versions of Beethoven or even Home Alone, that so much pop culture and references have come out of his movies that we still quote today.
Yeah.
Just pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is prolific. Very Yeah, he was very influential upon a look and a style of movie in the 80s.
And would you say he launched, going back to the Brat Pack? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Would he have launched the careers of some of those guys?
No, St. Elmo's Fire was kind of the thing that kind of
Was that before all this, though? They were younger.
And
at
that's
some of his
not a
stuff.
John Hughes movie.
It's not.
No,
a John-
it should have been.
It feels like a John Hughes movie.
Yeah.
That was 85.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, good grief. It written and directed by Joel Schumacher.
Gosh.
Really?
Wow.
That was kind of the movie that put him on the map.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Feel like a Schumacher movie.
Then he did Flatliners. Then he put nipples on the bat suit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, Mrs. Reed.
well, it is what it is. But I mean, you look at who is in St. Elmo's Fire. We could probably do an episode just on. I mean, it's Demi Moore, Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson.
So Judd Nelson was in St. Elmo's Fire before he was in Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club was what year?
85, 86.
86. St. Elmo's Fire was 85.
Okay.
Okay, I would have flipped that.
Yeah, and Andy McDowell was in St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Mayor Winningham.
yeah, Mayor Winningham.
Mm-hmm.
Sheen. No, Emilio Estevez. Who was
Emilio,
it?
yeah.
Kin to a Sheen.
Yeah, he decided to keep the family name.
I remember that story. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, all right. Well, good subject selection, Jay. As you continue to take over the show.
That's right.
Wow.
I don't have quite the evil laugh that Art.
Jay's nefarious segment.
That's
is what
right.
it'll become. Yeah. What am I going to take over next? So
Maybe you should start dressing like the hero you're talking about.
Nope.
I would start after this one. Nope. But yeah.
yeah, and then we could guess the hero's name.
Yeah.
I'll be the eye.
Yeah. I'm sure you will. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.